Hey there, my name's Gab Lavoie. I sometimes go by g.lavo.beats. I'm a synth player, multi-instrumentalist, producer. Lately, I've been really getting into synth programming and sound design, and so I decided I would put out a free pack of 20 presets for the Arturia MicroFreak, which we have right here. I didn't really have a specific theme when making these. This is just sort of a collection of a variety of sounds. There's leads, basses, pads, sound effects. We're going to demo them all in this video. I'm also going to show some examples of how I've used some of these sounds in my own beats, beat videos, what have you, so you'll get a chance to hear them out. So without further ado, let's listen to some of these. Okay, so the first patch is called Harpy 1. It's kind of like a plucked string sound. I made it using the Carplus Strong engine on the MicroFreak. It sounds something like this. It's pretty simple, but it's a nice sound. I'm going to show you how I used it in a beat video next. The next preset I want to show you is called Wispy Key. It's another sort of synth keys sound. It's pretty wispy, it's pretty glassy, it sounds like this. I used a super square wave in the sort of super wave engine on the MicroFreak. This is also one of the first patches I made on this synth and that I thought was pretty cool. I also made a beat video using this, so I will show you that now. We're going to keep going with synth keys patches. This next one is called Ice Cold. It sounds like this. So it's pretty noisy intentionally. It's got a little bit of like pitch drifting going on. The fun thing about the MicroFreak as a synth, of course, if you don't already know, is it's got this weird keyboard where you can sort of use smaller or larger amounts of your finger to sort of modulate parameters. And so I've sort of routed that so that when you use more of your finger, the sound kind of gets mellow. I also have a beat video using this sound, so I'll show you that so you can get an idea of how you might use it yourself. Next sound is called Metal Pluck. It sounds like the name. It's another kind of synthy keys, sort of like a metallic E pluck sound. This one I made using the FM engine. And yeah, it's actually kind of warm for an FM sound. So it's a good sound that you can use to make some melodies, maybe make some repeated chords playing. That sort of thing. My microphone keeps falling. Next sound that I want to show you is called Gab Sub 1. It's a bass sound for sure, but it's kind of like a mix between a synth bass and an 808 bass. So it's got that really short punch at the start that a lot of 808 basses have. But the other part where it gets fun is if you use the key press thing, it gets pretty dirty and it opens up that filter cutoff. We're going to move on to the next sound. Now we're getting to synth pads a little bit. This one is called Washy, and the defining feature, you'll hear it, is pretty active synth pad. We've got g.lavo modulating that cutoff, so it's got like that sort of like wah pedal effect almost, and the key pressure or key press is routed to the LFO speed, so you can have a lot of fun and be quite expressive in the way that you're playing that way. Can get a little chaotic almost sometimes. Next patch is another sort of keys / pad. This one's called bell pad. I was sort of aiming for like almost a DX7 electric piano kind of sound. And it's quite nice and glassy and bright. It sounds really good if you put a chorus on it too, especially a stereo chorus. Next one is called soft keys. It's again kind of like a key sound. The main thing going on here is I've got our LFO as a sawtooth wave, and I've routed it to the filter cutoff, but with a negative value. And it's giving us that sort of pseudo echo or pseudo delay effect that we're hearing. So the last 4 patches that I just showed, I actually used all of them in a beat video that I made. So I'm going to show you that next, so you can get a bit of an idea on how you might use some of these sounds. So I'll let that play. Gonna show some of the miscellaneous presets that I made. This one's called Swing Glitch. It's a percussion patch. Sounds like this. It's just kind of a fun percussion patch. It's pretty glitchy and it's got some swing. It's something you could use to kind of spice up the rhythm on a beat you're working on, or I feel like it would be probably pretty fun if you added some distortion or drive or crunch or something like that. Might be fun to sample and pitch up, pitch down, sort of see what textures you might get. The next 2 are some risers. I've got riser 1, which sounds like this. Sounds like that. And riser 1A is almost the same thing, but I sort of removed that note playing effect, and it's a bit more like a traditional riser, a little more versatile. but otherwise practically the same. Moving on to some other presets. This one is called Kik Snare. It's exactly what it sounds like. So sort of a deceivingly simple patch to make. I've got the LFO synced to the clock, and it's just a square wave basically alternating between parameters to play a kick drum and a snare drum. And then the pattern is just, I wrote that in the sequencer. We then have something called Panther. It's another percussion patch. It's a hi-hat thing. And kind of like the kick snare one, again, it's sort of a deceivingly simple thing. The pattern is just programmed into the sequencer, and I once again have the LFO sort of modulating. This time, it's actually the decay setting on the envelope, which is giving us that sort of open hi-hat note. Next up, we've got another synth bass. This one's called Throaty. Because it sounds kind of throaty. I used the Formant engine on the MicroFreak to program this sound. It's sort of like a soft acid bass. There's a little bit of filter resonance, but the thing that I really like about it is that I sort of found just this one nice resonant frequency in the Formant engine, and it sounds cool. Another little thing about this one is if you use the key press, you can get a bit of a sort of a vibrato effect. Next up is a synth lead. It's called Simple Lead. That's what it sounds like. I was just trying to make something that would sound as though it's something you would hear from sort of a vintage mono synth. So it's a pretty simple patch. It's based on a saw wave. I think I'm using the Saw X engine. Just like the last patch, the synth bass, you can use the key press to get a bit of a vibrato effect again. And so once again, these last 4 patches that I just showed you, or these last 4 presets, I use them all in one beat video. So I'm gonna show you that beat video so you can get an idea what you might do with it. All right, we've got a few more presets to go through. Another synth bass. This one's called Dirt Bass. It sounds like this. And it's exactly what you would think. It's a dirty synth bass. Don't think I have too much more to say about that one. Next one's a pad. It's called Glitch Pad. Sounds like this. And so sort of what's going on here is I've got the cycling envelope shaped to resemble a sawtooth wave, but like reverse. And I think that's routed to the filter cutoff. So it's giving us, again, sort of a similar pseudo echo or pseudo delay effect that I had in one of those other patches. The other thing that's going on is we've got the LFO and some other parameters or some other modulation sources that are modulating some of the stages of the cycling envelope. And so it's giving us a bit more of a glitchy speed with that pseudo echo or pseudo delay effect. And you can use the key press to change the tone a little bit. Next up is Soft Vintage. It's another synth lead. Again, I was just trying to go for something that would sound like it would come from an old analog mono synth, and quite appropriately, I think the engine I used on this one was the virtual analog. That's what it sounds like. Next up, we've got Motion Pad. It's a pad sound. It sounds like this. Very glassy, lots of high end. Almost dreamy. There's like some motion stuff happening. The cycling envelope has sort of a weird shape to it, which is giving it that sort of vibe. The other thing that I did, which is a bit different for me, is I used a band pass filter on this. And I believe I also used the harmonics engine to shape this sound, or to make this preset rather. But as I was saying, usually I tend to be preferential towards a low pass filter rather than band pass. But I'm quite happy with this preset. And I do have a beat video with this one, so I'm gonna play that so you can see how I used it. Okay, we made it to the end. The last patch is another pad slash sort of sound effect. It's called Auto Twinkle. It sounds like this. So sort of what's going on here, I'm using the chord engine in the synthesizer, and I've got, I think it's the cycling envelope that's modulating the type of chord it is. It's all major chords, but it's cycling through the different kinds of major chords, basically. So we're going through like normal major, major 7, major 9 maybe. But it's always some kind of major chord. We've got the LFO and other sources modulating some of the tonal parameters like cutoff and other timbre controls. There's also a little bit of interplay between the cycling envelope and the LFO. I think they're kind of modulating each other. And the other thing I did almost on a whim when I was programming this preset is I have the pitch, or like how high or how low the key is on the keyboard. I believe it's set to the LFO rate. And so with the way this patch is programmed, basically what happens is the higher up you play, the faster it goes. To the point that the high register is almost just like sort of sound effects. Maybe like weird teleporter sounds. I don't know. You could definitely use that for sound design, not just music. And when you get into the low registers, you kind of get these droney ambient soundscapes. Maybe it doesn't sound so great in the super low registers, but you kind of get the idea. So that's it. Thank you for watching this video all the way through till the end, if you are still here. Some quick ending notes about this preset pack. Again, it's completely free. Feel absolutely free to use these in any sort of music you make, whether that's beats, songs, whatever. And like, please go ahead and tag me if you do. I'd love to see what you make with these sounds. One thing you should note is you will need Arturia's software MIDI control center to transfer these between your computer and the synthesizer. As far as I know, I don't think there's any other way to do it. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Let me know what you thought of these presets in the comments. I hope you like them. I hope you're able to make some use of them. Once again, my name's Gab Lavoie. If you want to see more stuff like this, hit a subscribe, give me a like, give me a comment. I'm probably gonna put out some videos once in a while. I think that's it for now. See ya!